Hello YouTube, Eric here. Just want to talk about the weather a little bit again. For 9+ years now, just a couple months shy of 10 years, I've been talking about the sun's influence on the weather here. And what I find really strange is people think it's kind of crazy talking, and people that I honestly believe are very intelligent people. Some of these folks I believe that are far smarter than myself, okay? Still can't really quite see it. Now, I've been talking about the 22 to 24 year solar cycle, the Hale cycle, H-A-L-E, since early 2012. I didn't even know it was called a Hale cycle, I think, until about 2015 or something, that I found out that the term of it, I've been speaking about since long before I even knew the term, H-A-L-E, Hale cycle. Each 11.5 year solar cycle, it averages out at about 11.5, but it's anywhere from 11 to 12 years. It is a half of a cycle, okay? This is why so many people are blind to this. Each cycle, during the solar minimum, the sun reverses polarity. Or maybe I might have that wrong. Maybe my polarity's wrong. Maybe it's during the maximum. I haven't even researched this in years. But each cycle, the sun reverses polarity. So I believe, and Hale, by the way, he said it was a 22-year cycle, and as far as I know, he never tied it into Earth's weather at all. But if you just research the solar Hale cycle, you'll find out this truth, and it's everything to do with the polarity of the sun. And when I try to bring this up to others and they just can't quite make sense, they get a blank face, get confused. Even like I said, people that I believe are far smarter than myself have great difficulty seeing this. That's why I think communication is very important, because everybody has a piece to the puzzle, and every one of us at times is that guy searching for his glasses while they're on their forehead. Okay, we are all that guy. I don't wear glasses. Occasionally I wear some Maui Jim. I used to wear Maui Jim's sunglasses when I was a muskie fisherman. They're pretty dope glasses, by the way. But we are all that guy running around looking for the glasses that are on our heads. Okay, so it's very important for us to communicate, because we're all a piece of the puzzle. Real men can learn from anybody or anything around them. It doesn't have to be somebody more intelligent than them, right? I learned a lot about how to be a man from a fucking cat, and I don't even like cats, okay? So, a real man can learn from everything around it. It's all fractals, everything in nature. Albert Einstein said, look deep into nature, you'll understand everything better. All right, so in 2012, I was at the farmer's market, late May, and I was talking with the farmer there. I said to him, hey, is it starting? We were really dry late May. I said to the farmer, hey, I asked him, is it starting to look like 1988 yet? And he's right away, no, nothing like that 1988 drought. And then he pauses and he's like, but you know what, if we don't really get significant rain in the next 2 weeks, it's really going to start looking like 1988. He says, what are you getting at? And I was like, well, we're due for a big drought. And I'm like, don't you know anybody? I say to this farmer, I'm like, you know anybody in the ham radio or CB radio? He says, no. I'm like, really? You're a farmer? You don't know anybody into that stuff? Don't you have some uncles or somebody? No. And he's like, what's your ham radio telling you? Now, you remember I still got the CB radio up from 2012 where I'm shooting skip in 2012, talking 1,000 miles from a little, that CB radio. That video was to demonstrate what the sun was doing in 2012. The sun's pretty gnarly right now. There's all kinds of skip videos out there. People all over the nation are uploading videos. The sun is charging up the ionosphere right now, and guys are able to bounce their signal off the ionosphere. I'm still a Libtard, by the way. I can't wrap my head around flat Earth. Maybe I'm too stupid to wrap my head around flat Earth. But anyways, so here we go. The sun reverses polarity each cycle, 11.5 to 12 years. And people are like, well, what the hell does that have to do with anything? It has everything to do with everything. Okay, this is a little chart that I just drew out here. Okay, so 1988, solar max of cycle 22, right? Let's just, my little diagram, positive, negative, right? And it doesn't even matter, I believe that the sunspots are charged up east to west on the sun. It's not, but anyways, this is just a diagram to show. If it reverses, it's irrelevant how this works. If it reverses each cycle, I'm going to ask you, which ones look most the same? If this is positive up top, this is negative up top, and this one's positive up top. What do you see? Pattern recognition here, folks. I'll tell you what, 1988 looks a whole lot more like 2012 than it does 2000, doesn't it? We did have a heat wave and a drought in 2000, but it was not the same caliber of heat wave and drought from 1988 2012. 88 was our driest and hottest June on record in southern Wisconsin until 2012, and we smashed that. I believe in 2012 we had 39 days over 90 degrees here in Madison, and I think 4 or 5 days over 100 degrees. As much as they're talking about how hot it is right now, we are not going to touch 100 degrees this year. And we're not going to hit that 39 days either, because we are at the solar minimum right now between we're about to enter cycle 25 here in the next, it's either happening right now or in the next few months, beginning of cycle 25. But so there you go, guys. Research the solar Hale cycle, just to understand what the sun is doing with the polarity. The man, I believe, has been dead for decades. This research is all going back, well before I was born. And I'd like to also say that Galileo, when he invented the telescope, he had filters on there. That's what he's doing, staring at the sun all day, recording sunspots. And they were doing it to see if they could find patterns in crop yields, okay? And it's been known for hundreds of years that solar minimums, like we're at right now, are cooler, wet years. And I've been talking for years about how we're going to see. It's an art, folks. People have the memory of a goldfish, so you need to boil shit down into a nutshell, truth for them. They're not going to be able to even remember when, he predicted it was going to be all wet. No, you have to boil it down. You have to say stuff like, this is going to be a wet year. It has to be that simple for them to remember. The warehouse job I was working 2 years ago, I kept telling them, wait till you hear about the late planting dates. And I would tell them, when you start hearing them talk about late planting dates in the next couple years, I was like, be aware that shit's about to get real, because if we have a very wet fall where they can't dry the crops in the fields, okay? This happened in 2009, folks. They used up so much natural gas trying to dry crops in the field, okay? And that was the solar minimum, okay, of 24, so that wouldn't apply with the Hale cycle. I dove into raw government data, USGS and the NOAA and all this stuff for years. I don't even look at it anymore. I'm hoping to get folks smarter than myself to finally fucking look at this shit. Okay, the reason why this information is heavily discounted is this throws a wrench into the globalist carbon tax agenda. Okay, I mean, they need you to believe this is these cycles, climate, it's all carbon. It's the fucking sun. Okay? There may be other factors at play too. Many cycles happening all at once. Yes, there's the 11 to 12 year cycle. There's also that 22 to 24 year cycle. There's likely some 300 years. There's a lot of cycles going on. I think there's a lot of people that are aware of it that are afraid to talk about it. But anyways, Farmer's Almanac. When I was speaking about this in 2012, I believe it wasn't until 2015 that the Farmer's Almanac finally came out and admitted that one of their criteria for long-range seasonal weather predictions, their forecasts, one criteria was the solar cycle. Okay, that's not the only thing. There's a lot more. You got El Niños and La Niñas and all the jet streams, and you got a lot of stuff going on. Okay, but you can't discount this. And in 2012, when people would just bash me. Good liberals would be like, you're so bad, you need to submit to our carbon tax agenda. And I'd say, look, if you guys are discounting what I'm talking about right now, this is important. I said if we know what years are likely to be more wet years, we plant more flood-resistant crops and possibly not even waste seed planting the low-lying areas of the fields, right? But as long as you discount this cycle, that won't be known. Farmers are going to plant the wrong crops, less mold-resistant crops. They're going to plant in the low-lying areas, wasting seeds on these years that could be known to be wet years, like this year, 2019. Okay? And, you know, I'm an Aquarius. One of my missions in life is to minimize human suffering. And I would argue that a lot of human suffering comes from starvation, famines, and wars, which these all lead to one another. Wars lead to starvation and famines. Famines and starvation. Crop failures lead to all of this shit. Crop failures alone can lead to wars, starvation, famine, all this. So to those good people out there that were discounting me 7 years ago talking about this cycle, and I even warned people, I was like, just be aware, you discounting this, you may end up bearing some responsibility for massive, massive amounts of human suffering in the future. People would tell me, oh, you must work for big oil if you're discounting the car. Fuck you. Fuck you. This can't be stopped, folks. Change is underway. I don't even need to look into any of this data any longer. USGS for you folks. The canoe game, we check the USGS river level charts. Look at archived levels of that, okay? You can see river levels throughout the state are high in solar minimum years because we're getting buttloads of fucking rain, okay? And the river levels throughout the state are low during solar maximum years. You can look up the USGS keeps track of, or USDA maybe, soil temperature for farmers when they're planting. Yes, moisture levels. Look up all these raw government data that's archived and start looking at the cycle, comparing it to solar cycle, folks. Hopefully somebody watching this I'll bet you, there's somebody watching this far smarter than me. Maybe you're even triggered by what I'm saying and you're upset and you need to prove me wrong. Dive into the data. Just look into it. Please. I mean, maybe you'll prove me wrong. Maybe you'll prove me right. Either way, I'm not going to be upset if you prove me wrong. That would be growth. I would be learning something, right? I'll high five you, congratulate you, thank you for that. I'm not going to be upset if you show me truth and help me grow. No fucking way. I'm not going to limit any speech or discussion on this topic. Anyways, all the best.